From being based on an iconic book series to the actors of the show taking the reins when it comes to directing, these are Heartland facts and details that fans need to know. Now, there's a lot to like about the beloved Canadian series, but there's more to it than meets the eye. So if you're a Heartland fan, you'd better saddle up for these super interesting tidbits about the show. Did you know that the smash hit TV show is actually based on a series of books? That's right. The Heartland series was actually created by Lauren Brooke and started way back in 2000 with the novel Coming Home, which belongs to a series of more than 20 novels. Now, even though the books in the show are pretty similar, there are some twists and turns that didn't end up making it to everyone's TV screens. Like the names of the characters, for instance. In the novel, Lou's full name is Louise Fleming, but in the TV adaptation, it's Samantha Louise Fleming. Or the fact that the books are actually based on a family of ranchers from Virginia, USA. You heard that right. The novels were never set in Alberta, Canada at all. That's quite a surprise. Plus, many places from the show are not fictional. Now, the main show the town is filmed at is called Millerville. Never heard of it? Well, I don't blame you. It's a pretty small town. Like seriously, the last time anyone bothered to count, there were a grand total of 58 residents. At least, that's what the last census in 2003 showed. But don't let appearances deceive you, because even though Millersville is a small town, it hides tons of exciting spots, especially for fans of the show. Remember the iconic Heartland barn and ranch house from the show? They're part of a real-life working cattle ranch that's owned by Roy Foster in Alberta. His brother Les built the famous red barn from Heartland himself. And while you can't visit the actual Heartland Ranch, since it's private property, you can check out other filming locations that are in Millerville or just outside of it, like the Millerville Anglican Church, where Lou's wedding took place. And if you're a fan of horse racing and rodeos, you could always visit the Millerville Farmers Market and racetrack. Tons of super exciting scenes were shot there. And get this, Maggie's Diner from Heartland is also real. While the actual diner isn't really operational, you could still take a peek through the windows and get a glimpse of everything the actors saw. So, next time you're in the area, be sure to swing by. You might even run into some Heartland fans like yourself. These stunning spots have obviously left a mark on Canadian TV. So it's not really surprising that the show has been running for such a long time. Heartland has been running continuously for 16 seasons, and it doesn't show signs of ending anytime soon. The smash hit series first premiered in 2007. That means the show has been going on for a total of 16 years. That's over a decade. The show actually made history way back in 2014, and it had a lot to do with how long it had been running. After celebrating its 125th episode, Heartland became the longest-running one-hour series in all of Canadian TV. That is a serious accomplishment. But somehow, the production team manages to keep things fresh and exciting every season. Just look at the stats. In 2021, Heartland was actually the 5th most streamed series. So even 14 years after it first aired, the show was extremely popular. But when you're producing a masterpiece of a show like Heartland, you can't compromise on quality. That includes having the best horses for the job. So, how do they do it? A big portion of the show fixates on horses after all, so it comes as no surprise that there's a pretty detailed process when it comes to selecting and training for the show. Let me break it down for you. Most of the talented horses on the show are actually owned by John Scott. And Mr. Scott here isn't just the head wrangler of the show. He's also a very well-known name in the movie industry, and he means business. He actually keeps around 160 horses exclusively for filming purposes. That is a whole herd of star horses at his disposal. John's also got special cast horses that are trained to be totally fearless and easygoing, so that the actors can ride them like pros. When the script calls for some serious horse tricks, John's got a whole team of expert stunt horses ready to go. From bucking to rearing to falling, you name it, and John's got a horse for it. While we're on the topic of horses, here's another fun fact for you. Did you know that Spartan on Heartland has been played by the same horse since day one? Well, it's true. Stormy, the black quarter horse gelding, has been the main equine actor for Spartan the entire time, and he's been nailing it since he was just 5 years old. Even though it was only his first acting role, that calls for some natural talent. Of course, like any other A-list actor, Stormy has had his share of stunt doubles over the years. But when it comes to the real deal, he's never missed a day on the job. But that's not all. It looks like Stormy's been crushing it because his chemistry with Amy Marshall, aka Amy Fleming, comes off as very effortless. I think it's clear that the two have a very special connection. After all, they've been working together for over a decade. That's longer than some Hollywood marriages.
Incredible horse experience I have ever had personally. So I took it to the writers, of course, thinking, wow, this would be an amazing Heartland moment. And it would just be so stunning and visually beautiful that we had to do this.
What makes the whole thing even cooler is the fact that the actors aren't just pretending that they like horses for the cameras. They're actually true horse lovers through and through, even when the cameras are off. Amber Marshall, who plays the main character of the show, started riding horses when she was only 4 years old. Plus, she lives on a huge ranch with her husband where she takes care of all sorts of critters, including horses, cattle, and even alpacas. Isn't that crazy? She's out there living the real country life. And it's not just Amber. Alicia Newton, who plays Georgie on the show, actually owns 2 gorgeous horses of her own. And as unbelievable as it may sound, Alicia is also a competitive show jumper. Now, show jumping may look like a breeze, but let me tell you, it's a lot more complicated than just riding a horse over some poles. There's a ton of control, precision, and practice that's required. So major props to her for that. Thought the list of horse-loving actors on Heartland ended? I've only scratched the surface. Jessica Amley, aka Mallory, also grew up around horses. Even the veteran actors, Shawn Johnson and Nathaniel Arcand, know their way around a horse too. Cause Shawn literally grew up on a cattle ranch, and Nathaniel's family always owned horses. Who would have thought? All in all, I think it's pretty clear that the Heartland actors have some real love and respect for those majestic creatures. They're not just putting up an act on the screen. No wonder the show feels so authentic. But even that's not where their talents end. The actors of Heartland are actually brilliant behind the camera too. Like, these guys are out here directing full episodes for the show. Look at Michelle Morgan, who plays Lou Fleming on the show. She's directed 1 episode of Heartland, called Find Me in the Dark, and 3 episodes of Hudson, its spin-off series. Michelle is also writing and producing some short films on the side. That's very impressive, because you need to keep in mind that directing is not an easy task. And Michelle admits this too. She's talked about how hectic and intense things can get when she's acting and directing at the same time. I mean, I can only imagine. Luckily, the Heartland cast and crew have been nothing but supportive of her new role. Thought that was impressive? Wait till you hear this. Chris Potter, who plays Tim Fleming on Heartland, has directed a total of 23 episodes for the show so far. And that's just the work he's done on Heartland. He's even co-produced the Good Witch series. Talk about a serious set of skills. But despite his love for directing, Chris always says that acting will forever be his first love. But who knew the actors on the show were multi-talented? I didn't. The show is seriously full of surprises. But I guess that's what makes Heartland so fun and interesting to watch. So, there you have it. From the actors taking the reins when it comes to directing, to being based on an iconic book series, those were Heartland facts and details fans needed to know.